Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 3 of Gains, and this one is titled An Inclusive Bunch. That's enough, the teacher suddenly snapped, looking quite done now that the class had gone all rowdy, and the class fell silent. You can go and sit down now, Yin, the teacher said. I'll have no more talking in the class. If you have questions for Yin, then talk to her in the break, he said, then jumped straight into the morning's lesson, not even bothering to write his name on the board. I don't even know my own homeroom teacher's name, you wailed internally. I'm too afraid to ask at this point. I'll figure it out somehow. Hurrying down the aisle away from the dishevelled teacher, you spotted a spare seat behind a red-headed guy and quickly sat down in it, looking down at your desk in front of you. Well, this sucks, you thought sadly. Movement in front of you caught your eye, and you looked up to the red-headed guy who was sat there, making eye contact with him as he twisted in his seat to look at you. Hey, remember me? He asked softly. You immediately remembered him as the red-headed guy who had given you back your uniform skirt when you dropped it the other day, and you brightened a little. Yeah, hi, he said with a soft smile. He beamed at you, his sharp teeth on display, and you looked at them. Kirishima, the teacher called sharply, making the guy quickly switch back around in his seat and face the front. Sorry, Aizawa-sensei, he mumbled embarrassedly. Okay, Aizawa, got it, you thought, grateful that you now had a name, but also sorry that you had gotten this guy in trouble. You felt sorry for him, and looked up at the back of his head, and then passed him to the teacher. But someone on your left was looking back over their shoulder at you, and you made eye contact with them. Two ruby red eyes met yours, and you recognised him too. He was the rude blonde that was with the red-headed guy, named Kirishima, when you had met the other day. He didn't do anything else aside from scrunch his nose a little, and look back towards the front. You looked down at your desk again. Well, it hasn't started too bad, you thought, although they might be being nice because of my background, or they think my family's famous or something. Well, we kinda are. Ugh, I hate this. And that blonde guy. You looked back up at him, and just caught him looking away from you again, and you quickly looked back down at your desk with your eyes widened a bit. Whoop, why is he looking at me? Oh, he's probably thinking of some mean thing to say later. He might be a problem. Needless to say, when the bell for first break went, you were bombarded with classmates, all asking a multitude of questions at once. You were very overwhelmed by it all, and could only choke out a few words here and there, but you didn't feel like any of them weren't being genuine. You may have had hopeful thinking, but you felt like they all had the potential to be a good friend. At the next break, recess, you quickly got up as the bell rang and made a beeline for the door. You heard people calling for you, but you just needed to get away for a bit, so made for the closest girls' toilets and entered. You actually did need to go, so took your time in there before venturing out again. As you were washing your hands in the sink, you pep-talked yourself. You can do this, Yin. Just answer their questions and maybe ask a few back. It's okay. This is the best time to make friends. Feeling a little more confident, you walked to the door and pushed it open firmly and ran straight into someone. Oh, I'm so sorry, you said quickly, taking a step or two back to save yourself. Huh? A sharp voice snapped, and you cowered and looked up at them. Two ruby red eyes glowed down at you. Then, instead of them exploding at you, there was silence, and they just stared at you. Sorry, you whispered again. Yin! A voice from behind them said brightly, and you quickly looked behind the owner of the red eyes to see who it was. Oh, you said softly. Kirishima? You remembered my name, the sharp-toothed redhead said brightly. You nodded. How come you remember his name and not mine? The blonde with the red eyes suddenly snapped, and you shrank back even more, your back pressing to the closed bathroom door behind you. I don't know your name, you said softly with fear. It's Bakugo, he growled. Bakugo? He repeated. Yeah, he snapped. Don't think you're better than me, because you're not, he added in a low voice, then turned and stalked off, leaving Kirishima in the wake of the conversation, standing there with head whipping back and forth between you two wildly. I'm so sorry about him, Kirishima apologised with a bow. Please forgive him. He's actually nice, I promise. What are you saying about me, you spiky-head bastard? Bakugo snapped from the distance, and Kirishima jumped. Don't be so mean, he called, turning and running after Bakugo. You breathed out the breath that you had been holding, and then watched them go. They're interesting, you thought, as you turned and headed back to the classroom. The rest of that day went quite well. Mina and Yamomo had really taken a liking to you, and had been there to help you with a lot of things that day. You were happy about that. When the final bell rang, you made your way, with Mina and the other girls, out of the classroom and off down to the lockers. Oh, and then, Mina chuckled, right in the middle of telling you a class story, he did a front flip and landed on his feet. It was the funniest thing ever. She burst out laughing and you cracked a small smile. That's funny, you said with a small giggle. Hey, so do you want to come with us to the shops? She then invited. We're going to do some shopping for new clothes. Oh, my mum's going to be waiting for me with the car, so, can I come another time? You asked meekly. Yeah, of course. Sorry to have asked so suddenly, she apologised, walking down the last of the steps to the locker room with you. No, it's okay, you said with another small smile. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow then? She asked as she started to walk off towards her locker that was a little bit away from yours. Yeah, see you said as you turned and walked towards your own locker. As you rounded the end of the locker set, 2 ruby red eyes met yours and you froze. Your locker was just underneath Bakugo's. What? He snapped. My locker's there. You pointed to it. He grunted, then closed his locker, grabbed his bag from the ground, slung it over his right shoulder, shoved his hands into his ridiculously slack pants, and marched off, knees out to the side like a bloody gremlin. You watched him go with amusement. Such a weird guy, you thought. Quickly you put your stuff away and changed shoes, sitting down this time to put them on. And there is chapter 3 done and dusted. I'll see you tomorrow for chapter 4.